friends, and welcome to session 2 of our online drama class through Archery Goes Almost Live. Again, my name is Andrew Burkum, and I'm very excited to be back with you this week to talk a little bit about drama concepts. Now, in the long run, we're talking about audio drama, but here at the beginning of the sessions, we're going to talk about some general principles that apply to all kinds of drama, whether it be stage plays, whether it be television, film, those kinds of things. So today, we're going to start a series of lessons that help us deal with building characters. Characters are at the center of everything we do in drama. The characters that we play are what make the stories that we tell interesting for people. And today, we're going to begin to build a character by focusing on the physical aspects. Last week, if you remember correctly, we said that we have 3 tools as an actor. We have our body tool, we have our voice tool, and we have our mind tool. And this week, we're really going to focus primarily on that body tool. Although, the mind tool, as always, will be involved with everything we do. So, we're going to work on using our bodies to create a character that turns into a believable person for our audience. Now, we're going to start with a warm-up. Last week I gave you some ideas of some warm-up exercises, and I hope that maybe you've gone ahead and done some of those warm-ups to get yourself ready for today's session. We won't go back through all of those, but we will start with a sensory warm-up in order to put ourselves in that creative state of mind that we talked about last week. And so this is what's called a sensory inventory. And the sensory inventory is where we take all of our energy, all of our mental energy, and we focus it into one of our senses for a prolonged amount of time. This helps, if you remember, kind of bore that analytical, that abstract part of our mind, and helps us get better access to the creative part of our mind. So we're going to use our senses today. We're going to start with our, for this particular activity, we're going to use our sight sense. So we're going to use our eyes for this one. And what I want you to do is I want you to pick a color. Maybe blue, for example. I'm going to pick the color blue. And what we're going to do is, for the next period here, we are going to focus on just looking around the room that we're in, whatever room you're in, and focus on trying to see as many things that are that color as you can. So, for example, I picked blue. I'm going to try and see how many blue things I can see in the room over the course of the next couple of minutes. Now, we're going to do this today. We're going to do this for about 30 seconds. That'll give our brain just enough time to kind of get bored. Normally, I would say maybe pause the video and do it a little bit longer. If you don't feel like you've seen everything that's in the room, maybe pause the video. Give yourself a couple of minutes. That really gives that brain time to kick into that sensory mode, that creative mode. So right now, let's just go ahead and we'll put 30 seconds on the clock, and we will take 30 seconds just to look around the room and identify everything that's one color. Ready? Go. Alright, so how did you do? Again, I would usually recommend that you take a longer time for this activity. Did you notice as you went on, what usually happens is you'll go through and you think you find everything that's that one color. And then, because you still have time, you keep looking and you find other things that you didn't see the first time. That's what I discovered. Is I always find things that I missed. Up on the shelf that's opposite me here, I'm in my kitchen. On the shelf that's opposite, there are some bottles that are made of blue glass. But as I passed by again, I noticed that there are also some glassware there that's not all blue, but it does have some blue in the pattern. And I missed that on the first pass through. So the longer we give ourselves, the more our senses become attuned and the more we start to access that creative frame of mind. But let's get to our exercises for today. we're going to get started creating our characters. Did you do your homework from last week? If you remember, I asked you to come to today's session with a list of 5 types of people, or 5 different characters that are interesting to you in some way. If you didn't have a chance to do that, then I would like you to go ahead and pause the video right now and go ahead and make your list of 5 different types of characters, and then restart the video. We'll wait here for you. Okay, so if you have your list of characters now, if you're playing along with us, I also have my list of characters, and it's going to be right over here, I think. And my list of characters looks like this. I chose an old man, a pirate, a king, a bank robber, and a space alien. So these are 5 very broad types of characters, 5 very kind of different, distinct, and interesting types of characters. So go ahead and take a second to adjust yours if you want to do something that's even crazier than what you've got. And we'll be right back to start our next, our first exercise with these characters. Okay, so our first exercise today is going to be called coming and going. In this particular exercise, what's going to happen is I'm going to, and you're going to with me, we're going to simply cross the stage in character. And using only our body, no sound, no voice, no other clues of any kind, using simply our bodies, we're going to try and cross the stage as we imagine our character would do. So we're going to think about, what would that character walk like? How would they hold their body? How would what's their posture like? What are they doing with their hands? Those sorts of things. And so we're going to do that as each character. Now I'm going to do it for you here on camera, and I want you to try and guess which of my 5 characters, and I'll put my list back up for you here for a second again. You're going to try and guess which of my 5 characters crossed the stage. And then I want you to do the same thing there at home. Now, if you don't have anybody there with you to help you out, you can simply practice walking in the character that you've created. But if you have somebody there with you, you can turn it into kind of a fun game where you cross the stage and they try and guess what type of character you're portraying. You might have a lot of fun and don't even tell them your list of characters and see if they can guess who you are without it. So, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna leave the room. I'm gonna come back as my first character, and we'll see if you can figure out which of my 5 characters this one is. Okay? Can you guess which one of my characters that was? That's right. You said that was my space alien. That's correct. What does a space alien look like? I don't even know. Do you know? I don't know. I've never seen one before. So I imagine that maybe the aliens, because they live in a different kind of gravity, maybe they would move differently with their bodies than we do. Maybe they don't even have hands and arms at all. Maybe they have tentacles and things like that. So it's fun to imagine how a character that's completely different might behave, interact, and move through the space. Let's try another one. Which one of my characters did you think that was? If you said old man, that's exactly correct. The old man walks a little bit bent over, a very old man in this case, and much older than I am even. And it walks with the back bent over and a little bit of pain in their back. This is my old man character. Not all old men are the same. So again, another way to portray the motion of a character. Very different from our space alien, right? Interesting how different our characters can be. Let's try number 3. Which character do you think that was? That's right, it was the king. The king walks with a very straight posture and has his head held high and sort of waves to his people as he goes by. That's good. Another very different character. Let's try number 4. Who was that? That's right. That was our bank robber. The bank robber moves very quickly through the space and has to look all over to make sure that he's not going to be captured by someone who might see him go that way. Let's go try a last one now. You already know who it is, but let's see if you can figure it out based on my movements. Who was that guy? That's right. It was our pirate. Pirate with a mug of good ale and a whole helping of good cheer as well for all of his fellow men. It's a very friendly pirate, our pirate. So, each of those 5 characters moves across the stage in a very different way. We do different things with our body posture, with our arms and gesticulations, with the way that we move our bodies, the speed that we move. All of that changes, and all of that goes into the physical portrayal of a character. Now we're going to take a very short break here, and I'm going to come back. We're going to do our second exercise. Be right back. Okay, so now it's time for our second exercise, and this is called drinking the water. Hopefully, you've got somewhere in your house a glass and some water. If you do, go ahead and grab those now and come down and have a seat someplace. I'm going to take a drink right now. Do you have your glass of water now? Perfect. So for this exercise, it's very simple. All we're going to do is, we're going to focus on a simple physical action, picking up a glass of water and taking a drink. But we're going to think very hard before we do it about how each one of our characters would perform this same action. So we're going to play the same game that we did last time. I'm going to perform the action of picking up the water and taking a sip in each of my characters, and you're going to try and guess which character I'm drinking the water as. And then I want you to do the same thing at home for your audience, or just for yourself if you're all by yourself. Okay? So let's start. Here's number 1. Which one of my characters do you think that was? That's right, it was my old man. You'll notice everything my old man does is kind of slow and a little bit shaky as he tries to get his bearings on the world. Let's try another one. Which character do you think that was? That's right, that was my crazy space alien. In my imagination, maybe again, the aliens, they have bodies that are completely different from ours. And so maybe they have difficulty dealing with the sorts of everyday items that we have, or they're not familiar with them, so they don't even know how to pick up a cup or take a drink from it like that. So that's good. All right, let's try number 3. Which one did you think that was? That's right, that was my robber. Sometimes movements are a little bit more subtle, right? My space alien was very big movements with those big tentacled arms. But my robber, in this particular case, I imagine him sitting at a sort of an outdoor cafe after he's gotten away from the police, and he's looking out of the corners of his eyes to make sure that no one has followed him or no one is watching him. So sometimes our movements are very big in character, and sometimes they're very small. It's all dependent upon the type of character that we're playing. That's what we call physicalization. portraying a character physically. Let's do another one. And who did you suppose that would be? Yes, that was our king, of course. Yes, you could tell because of the raised pinky of royalty. And that, again, that posture. You can always tell from that posture. Good. And now, our last one. Ready? Here we go. That was our pirate. Our pirate spills his water all over the ground. That's one thing he does. He doesn't care because he lives at sea. Again, very big, broad movements, whereas the king was very controlled. Our pirate character is out of control, and he shows that just in his movements. Isn't it exciting how you can create a whole character, or at least a convincing character for other people to watch, just with your movements? We didn't even involve our voice tool at all. You notice during this whole time, and if you've done these exercises with me, at no point did we say any words. We don't have to use our voice to say lines or to make noises in order to create a character for people. We can just use our bodies. Now, we are going to, in this class at the end, be creating an audio drama, meaning that our primary acting tool is, of course, going to be our voice. But when you're building a character, even if you're just building them for your voice, it's really important to understand how they are physically. And what you'll find is, as we go into the process of recording our voices for our characters a little bit later, the way that you stand physically and the way that that character is in your mind physically, that's going to change the voices that you create for those characters as well. Now, we'll get to that next time as we start working on vocal characterization. But I hope you've had some fun with me this week doing these couple of little exercise games. I hope you have the opportunity to do them at home with your friends and family. And it's time for your assignment for next week. Now, your assignment for next week is to do these exercises, right, performing these exercises, and record yourself. Make a video recording of yourself. So get somebody's help, or set a phone up on, or a camera up on something, and record yourself doing the crossing the stage exercise and doing the drinking the water exercise, and then watch that video back and see if you can tell the difference in how you portrayed those characters. And then maybe if you say, oh, I want to make some changes in some of the things that I do, you can go back, make those changes, record yourself again, and look and see how you feel about the result. That's a tool that those of us who are actors use a lot of the time. We'll record ourselves and watch it back so that we can determine whether or not we're really communicating the message with our bodies that we want to communicate. And I'll tell you this, if you would like to, you can go ahead and email your videos to the email address that's going to be right here on the screen in just a second. Send those over to me, and with your permission, I might even use some of those on the show next week. So it'll be really exciting for me to get a chance to see you bringing your characters into reality in a physical way. Well, that's all our time for this week. Thank you again so much for joining me. I love spending this time with you. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Well, not seeing you, but I look forward to you seeing me next week, and I look forward to seeing you in those videos that you're going to send me. So until next week, until we see each other again, stay safe, stay healthy, stay indoors, and stay creative. I'll see you next time.